looking at this exploit, as many of you know in the audience, this was designed to create more spam relays. It was to expand the scope and distribution of spam because spam makes money for the bad guys. So in recognizing that, again, we met with a group of industry who came to us and said, we're getting killed by spam. We need to go after spam criminally, and we want to work on this together with you. We put together an initiative with this group called the Slam Spam Initiative, which is actually still going on today. But we told industry, said, look, if this is important to you, you're going to need to have to show up. You're going to meet us in the middle and work this together. We'll create the environment to allow you to do that, and we'll support it from our end. But we need to team up on this and define the threat, define the scope of the problem, and how we're going to achieve impact collectively. So we did that. We set up 2 teams of analysts funded by industry and partly staffed by law enforcement to look at the crime problems, look at the things you were being invited to do in the spam, and how that translated into actionable criminal violations we could bring, whether it be mortgage fraud or pharmaceutical fraud or other advanced fee schemes that are out there. We also had a technical team set up to look at how the bad guys are beating the filters, how their exploits are evolving, and how we could hopefully see them earlier on. And this initiative helped us understand that we can't just study the incoming traffic. We have to actually get online and do some undercover activity, make some buys, see where the money trail develops. And when we do that, it quickly evolves into something that in many ways looks like international organized crime. And this illustration was just meant to show by purchasing 4 different products or 5 different products how quickly it spans out across the globe. And it actually helps us tie this into other significant criminal activity that we can get law enforcement and prosecutors internationally to go after. The results of this initiative, and it's a little bit dated, but we tried to focus it on the most significant spammers out there. And again, it's still going on today. We had 50 plus significant investigations developed and pushed out to law enforcement in the first 9 months of this. 8 of the groups that we identified were tied to international organized criminal groups, and also tied to 30 ongoing investigations that we otherwise wouldn't have known were significant pieces of. We identified thousands of compromised, misconfigured resources being used for this, and I'm sorry to say, a number of these happen to be government and military sites that we're working aggressively to get rectified. So there's some really good things that we're developing out of these initiatives that help us better refine and define our approach collectively. 6 months after this project started, another industry group came to us and said, we got to go after phishing. Phishing is killing us, it's big. And we said, what's phishing? And they said, well, it's some spoofed websites, and these people are being lured to this site that's really not theirs. And so we said, okay, you mean like things that might end up being identity theft or other, money laundering or other, crime? Oh yeah, all that. So we said, okay, we can put together a project. If you agree to team up with us and meet us in the middle, we can make this happen. So we really used the same floor plan that we had set up on the previous project and recognized there was already a lot of overlap anyway. So some of the initiative-specific databases that we designed, some of the players that were already on board supporting our spam initiative actually overlapped very nicely with the phishing initiative, and we wanted to make sure that people realized it's the overlap we have to make sure we're sensitive to. So we did a similar floor plan and started to develop and refer out investigations and also proactively go after those investigations. Things that we're seeing out there today, no surprise, the vulnerabilities on different servers continues to be exploited and used. Government agencies continue to be targeted for phishing. FBI, FDIC recently, we're seeing SMS text messaging phishing in which significant exploits are being downloaded and the victims are then enlisted into a botnet. Popular websites continue to be targeted, MySpace and others. With the popularity of things online or in the media, you can usually expect that that's going to be the target of a phishing initiative. IP relay end-around continues to be used. This is the utility that was set up to aid the hearing impaired for telephone services, and a lot of the bad guys have realized that the merchants and some of the e-commerce companies have done a pretty good job of looking out for online orders and being aware of those. So they've adjusted and they've come in through the telemarketing side of the house. The phone services that companies enlist to take their telephone orders now are not actually employees of that company. They may be remotely located, outsourced somewhere, so they're not looking for the same watch and warning signs that they might if they were part of the company, and that continues to be something that's exploited. Pharmaceutical scams and pump and dump scams are on the rise. Penny stocks, actually significant investment by the bad guys in the penny stock scams, and we are seeing a very significant increase in this, so we're working with a lot of our industry partners to develop better intel on this and a better approach to that problem. In keeping the initiatives focused, we recognize too that we need to establish goals and objectives that incorporate our partners' input in that regard. So we need to develop a better approach in phishing, spam, identity theft that actually achieve impact. We need to enhance our timely information exchange with those partners, enabling industry to better protect itself and its customer name and its brand, enable both to be smarter regarding the evolving threat and patterns and footprints that we can identify earlier in the schemes. And we also put together joint training over the last year and a half, and we found that just the makeup of putting industry and law enforcement together and making it more of a 50-50 mix has been a phenomenal start for these joint training efforts, and the output has been outstanding. And we try to reinvent ourselves as we go forward, focusing on what works, repeat what works. Is there a fast-track approach to these things that we can work with the Department of Justice to try to achieve with the international law enforcement community as well? We try to ask our prosecutors out there to team up with us on investigating first and prosecuting second. We need to follow the trail before we get that prosecutive opinion and try to lock down the evidence as quick as we can, recognizing that in this arena that's often very fleeting and fragile. And recognizing as we go forward, what are the obstacles? There are obstacles that you're seeing and that we're seeing, but we need to collectively acknowledge what the most significant ones are that we can actually diffuse and work to diffuse those. Things like the venue debate out there, is this really mine to work, or should it be in other offices or in other countries? We try to bridge those gaps and try to get through those, and Department of Justice has been pretty helpful with us in that regard lately. Defining success. When we put these projects together, we have learned a lot about getting a consensus opinion on what success is. Yes, the bad guy in cuffs on the evening news is good success, and everyone agrees with that, but there's lots of other things that happen along the way that are meaningful impact. Timely alerts and advisories out there to help minimize the victim base or better arm industry to protect itself and its customer. That's meaningful success. Doing different things in that regard. Executing timely search and seizures out there that actually take away the goodies for the bad guys. Shutting down or diffusing the networks that are out there. We have to do a better job of memorializing those activities and getting that feedback back to industry. Public service advisories, putting those things out in a timely manner. Other things that we can do to disrupt and dismantle and investigate proactively is key to our defining success. Recent success stories, there's some significant industry input and us identifying the folks who launched the MyTab-Zobtab virus and us locating where they were and bringing them to justice. Over the last 9 months, we've had significant success by taking this make it personal motto on the road and working with industry out there. We've actually, there's more than 30 arrests in Estonia now, 4 in Russia, 4 in Austria, Nigeria, 17 more in Estonia, some in the United States as well, and recently 31 arrests that we just helped Egyptian authorities make regarding some significant cybercrime. Some local successes that we achieved in Western Pennsylvania regarding significant industry input and following the trail. This actually led to some of the arrests in Estonia. Some lessons learned, as I said, whatever's popular, whatever's hot in the media is usually going to be part of a cyber exploit or a cyber crime. With the tsunamis of 2 years ago and the hurricanes of last year, we saw a significant increase in scams, purporting to be charitable websites, thousands of these coming up very quickly. By using our joint triage facilities that we have in our public-private alliance, we were actually able to get through more than 1,000 of these incidents that were sent to us on the tsunami, get through these things extremely rapidly, determine which ones we need to shut down right away, which ones are worthy of a criminal investigation, and get industry to help us build those cases quickly and get out of the box as soon as we can. With the Katrina hurricane scams, more than 5,000 incidents came to us within the first couple of weeks. And literally before the hurricanes even hit Category 5, 2 days offshore, we were seeing hundreds of these websites registered that were intended to be part of these ongoing scams. So we learned a lot about how to quickly identify and achieve impact in these developing cybercrime areas. The spoofs, the phishing are getting better all the time. As I said, the social engineering part of what is happening out there continues to change and get better, so our need to alert the customers on these schemes and what they look like is very significant. Some of these cases actually involve international money laundering, and putting these things together graphically is very significant for us in enlisting the support of the international law enforcement and prosecutive community. additional initiatives that we have going on today, and we look to industry to help us define what other initiatives of meaningful impact there are out there. We have a joint identity theft initiative that's ongoing, online pharmacy fraud initiative that we are developing rapidly, international organized crime and money laundering as well. Operation Identity Shield is something that you'll be hearing about soon. It is our joint identity theft initiative. And as I said, public service advisories and educating the public, we, together with industry and law enforcement partners, put together our joint website, Looks Too Good to Be True, about 9 months ago as an educational portal to help quickly alert people about what the new and evolving schemes are, and a common website that we can come together on to better alert the public, in addition to our own resources that we have for doing that. Okay, I want to close here with just one additional story quickly. When we invited industry to come and be partners with us in West Virginia and Western Pennsylvania and other collaborations that we're setting up, we had a number of folks come in quickly and say, we want to be part of this, it's a good idea, we're going to send somebody. And we had an individual who showed up pretty quickly from one of the financial services and merchants, and he came to West Virginia and did some house hunting and saw that it's some beautiful country down there. It gets pretty rural pretty fast, and there's some pretty different names to some of the counties and the boroughs down there. So he sent back a little video to his folks back home to give them a feel for the for the place he's at and where he's going to be working now.
When I told the folks back home that I was coming to Octor,
Let's back this up a second. Microphone. And
when I told the folks back home that I was coming to Octor Mokti, they said, "Where the fuck's Hat?"
like we like to say at IC3 and Surf U, we try to make it personal and wear the fox hat or wear the black hat proudly. So thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to a good conference. Thank you.